11 minutes after 7 o'clock right now. Welcome back to Carolina in the Morning on Fox Wilmington. We've got Ryan P.C. Trimble with us here in the studio this morning, all smiles and ready to talk about what's trending. Big smile.
Yeah, no, I was just impressed that there was no competition about who was going to introduce me. Or...
I took it right away.
You did?
Took the reins and ran with it.
We've started the birthday early. I'm in a giving mood.
I'm ready.
And
well
we're right
done.
on time, too. 7:11.
Tim's got 1 foot out the door.
Almost had just one more block. But first,
Okay.
let's do this.
Yes.
All right, so good morning, guys. We're going to take a look, of course, at what you guys have been talking about all week online. And, you know, we've been following all week the events that have erupted in Ferguson, Missouri, following a police officer's shooting of an unarmed man, a young man, over last weekend. Some looting and rioting happened right after the incident. But since then, protests to what is being called police brutality have actually been fairly peaceful. But you would never know that by looking at how officers are handling the situation in the town. Because the whole area is basically under martial law right now. Most exits and entrances to the town are blocked off, and all protests are being shut down if they take place at night. And now journalists can't even properly report the story, because just look at this. This is cameras capturing officers throwing a tear gas capsule at news crews as they are about to prepare for a broadcast. Pictures afterward then show officers handling and attempting to tamper with the crew's equipment. Earlier that day, a reporter for the Washington Post by the name of Wesley Lowry was arrested after officers ordered him and some others who were sitting in McDonald's to leave the McDonald's. He decided to film the situation as he was packing up, and when he finally did leave, his bag fell off his shoulder, and that's when, according to him, an officer just said, "Okay, let's take him," and slammed Lowry against a soda machine. And then a reporter from the Huffington Post was also arrested for similar events. And the just crazy thing about this is, like I said earlier, the police have declared that you cannot protest at nighttime, and that is why a lot of these arrests are taking place. But of course, then the other side of the coin is the police can't just sort of invent laws like that. You know, the police are there to protect the laws that exist already, and constitutionally you can protest at any time. So it's it's definitely a balance of police give and take and people give and take.
Well, it's their job to protect.
Absolutely.
So if I guess if they deem that it's more dangerous in the evenings, which it definitely has proven to be, then you know, their job is safety or whatever. But I can see both sides of that too. And,
Definitely,
you know, it's doing nothing but upsetting people even more, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it all started kind of happening last night. I was getting ready for bed, 8:30, and it started trickling through on Twitter. You know, and the reporters saying they'd been using a McDonald's because it had Wi-Fi, and they were using it kind of as a hub to charge their phones. And just in some downtime, the officers came in and started evacuating it for apparently no reason. There's also an alderman out of
Antonio
Missouri
French,
who's been tweeting nonstop about everything. He's still being detained. He has not been released.
Wow.
They haven't said what the charges have been for him. So, you know, we're starting to see things. And again, all the journalists are at the same time while this is happening trying to say, we're not the story.
Right.
You know, the story is what happened to this young man that we're trying to get out there.
Right.
You know, so I'm seeing a lot of flack kind of coming their way about, well, great, now these guys are trying to make the story about them. And then they're very quick to point out, you know, while we're safe and we appreciate people being concerned, it's not about us.
It's about them, you know, trying to report what's happening and trying to let it get out. Yeah.
Our job.
Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, it was interesting because recently with a lot of events like this with officers and wanting people not to film, the Department of Justice itself actually released a statement saying that constitutionally you are allowed to film anything that's going on as long as you are not interfering with police business.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of officers in different departments I've seen actually wearing cameras.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard, most of the officers that are under those programs say, fine. You know, it's just that we can document what happens.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Have the technology.
Yeah. Accountability on all parts. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, that's
It's
probably
a great
better for
idea,
all of us.
Definitely.
Definitely. So, all right, so our next story, it was trending overnight. It's a bit more of a fun story, I think. Yesterday was International Left-Handers Day. And in honor of that, I took a look at some famous lefties. Oprah Winfrey is left-handed, of course. The famous television host, as well as 3 of our 4 most recent presidents, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and George H.W. Bush were left-handed.
Wow.
Yeah. Kermit the Frog is a lefty as well, as is Jim Henson. And my favorite lefty is my dad, Bruce Trimble, who you see there. He was the one not wearing a jacket. But yeah.
But you're not a lefty.
I am not a lefty. I am right-handed, and most of the people in my my family are as well. Are any of you guys lefties?
No.
My children.
Really? Really?
Wow.
Interesting.
Both of them, or
Yeah.
is your wife?
No, I believe she said that her grandfather was, because everyone in my family is right-handed.
Yeah, mine too. I don't have a single one.
Yeah. You know, there's lots of interesting, I don't want to call them studies, but urban legends about what exactly, you know, using your left and right hand leads to, you know, like people who use their left hand are more analytical and that kind of thing, and people who use their right hand are more creative. I don't know if I agree with that, but.
One thing I just found out recently was that, and I never thought this before, because we write from left to right on a page, if you're writing with a pen left-handed, you can smudge what you just wrote.
Yeah.
What a pain. I had no idea
Yeah.
that
Oh, yeah.
you guys went through that.
And desks, I guess the grade school level, are geared towards right-handed people.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
you've got the wrap-around on
Yeah.
this side. Yeah,
And if
so-
you ever go to a restaurant with a left-handed person, they always want to sit
Yeah,
on the
I was sitting the
edge.
opposite side of the table from Bruce.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations to all the left-handed people
you
out
you
there.
got a day
We
yesterday.
were celebrating
Congrats.
with you.
Yeah. So our final story this morning is, of course, brought to us by Mr. Medwick, who is dutifully bringing it up on the iPad right now. And this story, this graphic that he's got is so cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's from a website called xkcd.com, and I don't know what else is on the website, but there is a image, number 1407, that is actually, I think it's been going, I would say, semi-viral. I saw it first in my meteorological circles.
That's a
It's
tough
not
word
any
say,
easier to
even for
spell
you.
either. It's not any easier to spell.
A lot of syllables.
And but so I'm thinking, okay, well, we're geeks, so I understand that. But then I'm starting to see just people who may be not interested in meteorology, but where meteorology meets history, you can geek out. And that is what this study is, some statistical, another toughie, analysis to say what's the worst hurricane that you might remember in your town. And I'm not sure the exact metrics here, but it'd be interesting. You know, if you just polled 25 people in New Hanover County, you might get 5 different answers. Just depend. You know, Diana might have been one person's worst. Maybe they were here in Hazel and they said nothing compares to Hazel, or Fran. It's just interesting how congested the map gets, guys, in eastern
Towards
North
the
Carolina.
coast, yeah.
And that is a function, of course, us being in Hurricane Alley. Floyd has a swath, understandable, and some ones I remember from talking to people who were, you know, when I was working in the Greenville-New Bern television market for so many years. You say, Connie in 1954, what's up with that? A lot of those sleepy towns that are on the Pamlico Sound, they were just flooded out to the highest rafters in Connie in 55. Isabel, also a terrible storm in northeastern North Carolina. And then Hugo just plowed into North Charleston, and look at the swath that has.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
So it's kind of an interesting map, and you know what? The geeking isn't just limited to the Carolinas. You can, you know, zoom out and see all of the hurricane vulnerable coast. Andrew has a swath in South Florida. Katrina, of course, Camille, you know, all the biggies. And then some ones that you might be surprised about as well.
That's so interesting. And it's cool to see that Hazel sort of, besides exactly at the coast, like Hazel pretty much just got a lot. from
That's
that
a
area.
great point. What would it be? My wife's uncle. She's from far upstate New York, okay? And you say Hazel, 1954. He was in his crib at the time, and a tree fell on their house from Hazel and missed his crib by 3 feet.
That's
and
the
that's
same-
their
the same
Hazel,
Hazel?
the same Hazel.
Gosh.
And actually, Hazel went into Canada and is probably Canada's worst hurricane because it maintained a lot of its intensity
Which is
way far to the north.
unusual.
That's
Very
insane. I
unusual.
had no idea.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, you find a lot of neat stuff if you kind of putz around this map. And so I've seen it a lot in my feed. Maybe you want to check it out and share it as well.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. All right, we're back after this.